Hi everyone, Hutch here and welcome to my YouTube channel. So today I'm just going to get straight into this and show you how I go about making my high gain tones. And in particular I'm going to make one that's very similar to the tone that I use on my live shows. I know there's been a lot of people quite interested in finding out how I actually go about making that and what is the process. So here I am today and I'm going to show you all about how I do it. So the first thing is I used Polychrome DSP Hyperrig Kiesel. I've been using this for a while now. I absolutely love this and it's so easy and simple to use and get great results from with very little effort, which is just basically right up my street. So here we go. Step one. What you want is the initialize patch. So usually when you first open this plugin for the first time, you're on the init patch, right? And we've got three different amps. Now the high gain amps are the Carbon, which sounds like this, and the Infusion, which is a little bit more pushed forward, a little bit more present. So that was the one that I actually use on my lives. So I'll be using the Infusion. The next part of the process really is to just switch off all the different sections to the plugin. So I'm going to switch off the drive section. So you can see that they've all grayed out there. Then I'm going to switch off the EQ and the effects as well, but I am going to leave the speaker chain on. So the next part of this is to pick one of the speaker chains. So I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll just give you a little quick preview of all of them. So this is the first one, second one, third one, fourth one, and the fifth. So I really like one, and one was, if I remember rightly, what I've been using for the lives. Okay, next thing to do is add in as much gain as I think I need. So I like just to get it where I can hear it just really saturating. I don't want it to be oversaturated. If I go to the oversaturation mark, then I just dial it back a little bit, and I find that helps me find the sweet spot. Next thing is I love to add a bit of room. So, think of this like a bit of a reverb really, but what it's great at doing is it really fills the sides out. So I'll just play a chord. Then I've whacked it up and you can hear how it's filling out the stereo spectrum there. I'll just dial it back a bit so it gives me that sense of space. Right, okay, we're doing okay here. Now the next part of this is I'm just going to add a little bit of EQ. So I'm going to add a little bit of bass. Take a bit of the mids out. A little bit of treble. And some push. I really like what this does. Okay, now we're starting to clip on the master, so you've got to watch out for that. So if we go to the output, what we need to do is on the master turn this down. So basically this is flashing just into the orange is usually fine. Just when we're going right into red, we don't really want that. But a good way to get the level set is to actually palm mute. Because that's when the guitar really sort of gets very loud in volume. Okay, the next part to this is we need to go to the drive pedals. So switch them on. Okay, and there are two different flavors we have here. Now, what I actually used for my live sound is the blue drive. Now, as you can hear there, we're getting a little bit of noise coming through, so we can go to the gate and we can whack that up a bit. Okay. That's all sounding good. So what I'll usually do is turn the drive down, and then I'm just aiming to put a little bit more level into the amp. I'm just giving it a little bit of a push and a little bit of coloration, which I can do with the drive now. So I'll just switch that off. So that's whiff out and whiff. Without whiff. So really it's just making the sound sit up a little bit. If I don't use the blue drive, the other thing that I'll do is I'll put the boost on, and I really like that sound where what you do is you turn the drive completely off and then you whack the level full into the amp. And actually, if I just slowly turn it up from 5 upwards, you can hear how it's pushing the amp into more saturation, but really sort of with clarity. So that's another flavour of what I'll do, but I'm just going to move back to the blue. I'm just moving that tight about. I think what it's doing there is I'm just letting a little bit of the low end through. And I'll just take a tiny bit of tone down. Okay, next up we're going to do some EQing, some shaping of the sound. So let's switch that on. There's a couple of frequencies that I do like to remove. One is 500 because it sounds a bit muddy and often clashes with other instruments. So and I think you can get quite a tight sound with that. The other one is around about 2K, is quite harsh on the ears. I'll turn it up and you can hear. Take a bit of that down and we'll put 4K up. Again, it's making the guitar sit up. I'm going to take 16 down. I'll leave 8 where it is. And then I'm just gonna have a mess about with 225 and 250 hertz and see what's there. I'm gonna put a little bit of 250 and I think that sounds good. I'm just gonna roll off a little bit of 60. Okay, sounding good. Now we're gonna go back to the speaker chain. Now on the speaker chain, what I want to do is I want to get rid of a little bit of that hissy, white, noisy top end to the guitar. What I'll do is I'm going to use the low pass filter and I'll just bring it down so you can really hear what it does. So we just want to take away a little bit of that chaos. And then what I'll do is I'll just filter off the very sort of subby low end. Now what you can do is you can add a little bit more fatness into it without bringing more sub in by using the resonance. So we've still got that nice thump on the low end. And if you felt you wanted to add more air, more top end, you can do a little bit of that with air. But actually, what I'm going to do is I fancy adding a little bit of presence in off the amp itself. And I think air sounds better. So usually what I find with this amp in particular, it just sounds that good in its default state. The tweaking that you do is very, very small. It tends to be lots of tiny little increments all over the place on each section of the amp because it's just great sounding out of the box, you know. I can't really say enough good things about this. It's just great to have all of this stuff just in one place, and it being so accessible and easy to dial in a sound. It's great. So I think a little bit of low end there. Okay, so that's sounding pretty good to me. I think most of it is there. Now, I mean, that's great for the rhythm parts. Okay, but we need to have this as a lead tone as well. So there'll probably be a few more minor tweaks that we're going to do. But I think the biggest move to do is... and actually, that when I say big move, that's a lot to do with this process, is the way that I do things, is the moves that I do, the actions that I start off with make the biggest difference. So selecting the amp, that's a big move. That's going to have a big tonal difference. And selecting the speaker chain is going to have a big tonal difference. And then after that, it's just little sort of tweaks, isn't it? So really, like, those two moves can get you 75-80% there, and then you start adding your drive pedal, and then it's just small percentage increments after that till you get to 100%, which is impossible because that would mean that it would be perfect. And can we have the perfect guitar sound? Is that possible? I think it would require everybody in the whole entire world agreeing that that was the best sound, so probably impossible, but we can get very, very close. Anyway, I'm starting to waffle. The next thing to do is I'm just going to add some delay. Now, I'm going to go for the delay first because I think that's the biggest move. That's going to give me the biggest gain. So let's switch it on and we'll just see how it's set. Okay, so we've got quarter notes. I'm going to try eighth notes dotted. Actually, I quite like eighth notes today. I think it might have been quarter notes that I was using on the live, but let's go with eighths. I do love the ping pong setting, which is great. Now, the next thing to do is we've got basically high pass and low pass filters, and these sound really, really good. Now, what I really like to happen with my delays is have them so they sound like they're disappearing off into the distance, so we can really start building up perspective with our guitar sound. I'll exaggerate it. So that sounds great there. Might be a bit too much, but what I'm going to do is I'm just going to balance it out because now, because I've rolled that top end off, I'm very, very aware of what's happening in the low end of this delay. So what we need to do is we need to start using the high pass filter. And that's actually sounding pretty good there. I think 20%'s good on its default. The other thing I really like about this delay is we have ducking. So what ducking is, it's basically a sidechain. What's sidechain? Well, the way this works is when I play a note on guitar, what the ducking does is it turns the delay down. So when I'm physically playing, it turns the delay down. And when I stop playing, basically it allows the delay to come back up to its original volume. So it kind of fills in the gaps. So if I think I'm going to just have a bit more ducking on this. So you can hear the volume of those delay repeats are slightly coming up a little bit louder. All right, that is the delay done. Next thing is reverb, and I think about the cool thing about this reverb, it's kind of set and it sounds quite good on its default setting. We just need to turn it down a bit. Okay, so there's some things that I need to tweak on this. So what I like to do is turn up the mix. Now all you're going to do is you're just going to hear reverb. Now what I'll do is I'm going to remove some low end from it. And I'm going to remove some high end. Now, this is more of a personal preference. I do like dark sounding reverbs. So I kind of just want all that stuff to be in the background when I'm playing. So that's sounding pretty good to me. I think there are a couple more tweaks I'd like to just try out. Just giving it a little bit more push. Tiny bit of presence. That's more to do with my picking. Alright, and I think that is pretty sounding good to me. So, just in short, the process is pick the amp that you want, pick the speaker that you want, add a bit of room, go to your EQ, tweak the amp EQ first, tweak this, and then do your effects. And that's it, you're sorted. Oh, and not to forget adding your drive to the front end. And that really is everything. That is the process of how I basically come up with my guitar tones. All right, so I hope you guys have enjoyed that. And there's going to be some more videos coming up, as usual. So what I'd like you to do is subscribe if you found this helpful. Also, I do have a Discord channel now, and the link is in the description. So if you can join the Discord, that would be great. The other thing is I do quite regular live sessions where you can see me either performing, shredding on guitar, or actually making music in the studio. And it's a great opportunity. If there's any sort of things that you want, questions that you might want me to answer, feel free to ask me stuff. I'm always happy to help out. So that's enough from me. I'm Hutch, and I'll see you later.